Alright guys, 413 Bros back for another video. Today's going to be something a little different. It's going to be more of a repair video. So, we've got my wife's 2011 Kia Optima SX. It's got the 2.0 4-cylinder turbo, and it's throwing a couple codes. It's throwing a P0011 and a P0014. They're bouncing back and forth. So what it is it says that the timing is over advanced. Now, typically, that means that the VVT valves, the sensors are worn out. And there's two of them. There is one that is, let's see, it's right here. That is your intake side. And then you've got one way back down here, that's your exhaust side. So I've replaced those. I've replaced the camshaft position sensors that are on the front and back. Intake, exhaust is in the same spot. It's still looking like the timing is off. So what I think it is the camshaft phasers. So this is going to be multiple video of replacing the camshaft phasers, doing a new timing chain. She got the whole timing component set on this car. I've never done anything like this, so it's all going to be new to both of us. It's going to be a lot of hyperlapsing, and I'm going to go through, you know, what bolts you take off, where. So far I took off the engine cover. I took out the intake, just the air box and the damper, which is all right here, and the battery. So just 2 bolts to take off the front, 2 bolts to take out the air box. There's a pin in the back that just pushes into. It all popped right off. Took the battery out. Now, before I get any further, I'm going to hop underneath. I'm going to take that massive skid plate off. So I'm going to throw you guys on a hyperlapse, and we'll get to it. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. Parts are very dirty. These 2 skid plates, they meet in the middle and cover the whole oil pan and everything. That one's more of just like a guide for the skid plate, the front side. All it was 10mm bolts and push pins. The 2 bigger ones, all those took were the 10mm bolts, and for some reason there was 1 Phillips head. I don't quite understand that, but whatever. The front one, the smaller one, that was like 3 10mm bolts, maybe 4, and a bunch of these push pins. So, got those off. I gotta drain the oil, and then I'm gonna have to jack the motor up, because I gotta take this motor mount off. Because the timing chain's right in here. So I gotta take the belt off. Probably gotta take the alternator out, just to give me some more room. I'm not sure if I have to take the intake manifold off yet, but I know I have to take the valve cover off. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go from here. I believe I have to drop the oil pan, because the way the valve cover sits, it sits on the oil pan, and the valve cover sits on top of it. So I'm pretty sure I got to tear both of them off. It's not a drastic deal if I do. I mean, this was a Florida car, so none of it's all rusted. But I'm going to take a breather, take a break, catch some water, and I'll be back with a plan. Alright guys, I took a break. Decided I'd think about it overnight, watch some other videos on it and stuff. And it looks like I'm probably going to start by taking the valve cover off. You know, disconnecting all this junk and getting it out of my way. Probably getting the belt off and taking the oil pan off. So the reason I have to take the oil pan off is because the timing cover sits on top of the oil pan, so I gotta take like 5 bolts out anyway. And I also have to jack the motor up, so I can't jack the motor up in order to get the motor mount off if I have the oil pan on, because I'll just crush the oil pan. And I don't have a cherry picker to lift it up this way, so it'd just be in my way anyway, so I'm just going to tear the oil pan off, jack the motor up, take the engine mount off. I'm also taking the valve cover off, like I said. I'm going to try and see if I can leave the alternator. I may need to take it off, and take the belt off in this hyperlapse. Right after the hyperlapse, I'm going to go over all the bolts, all the sizes, everything you need to take off. Let me get to it. Alright guys, so as you can see, the only thing I've gotten done so far was the valve cover. And, yeah, there ain't no doubt. Look at how much slop is in that chain. That is why we're throwing the codes. These phasers are probably still doing their job, but you see this motor, you can tell it's got a lot of miles on it. But, yep. I got new phasers anyway, but this is definitely the reason why the timing is off. I mean, it's running fine. So the camshaft phasers and everything, they're doing their job correctly. But that is the reason why we are getting the code. There's just no doubt about it. So, yeah, I'm going to get back to it. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you what I've done so far. I've taken the belt off. All you had to do was put a wrench on this tensioner, and I can't remember what size it was. It was an 18. Either way, took the belt off, took the valve cover off, and look at the slop in that chain. There is no doubt the timing is what's bad. Even though this car's been running great, that probably means that these camshaft phasers are running excellent. It's just the chain is shot. I mean, the tensioners, the guides may be shot too, but, you know, all that was just a buttload of 10 millimeter screws. So I just zipped those out with the impact. I had to take the high pressure fuel pump off. Those were just 10s. Had to bend the line back a little bit, take off a couple bracketing, all 10s. I disconnected. I took out all the coil packs. The spark plugs are still in there. I have to take those out before I turn this to top dead center. I did. What else did I do? Underneath. Oh, so on the oil pan, there is a bracket that holds the AC condenser on, or the compressor on, I mean. I had to take the bracket off because one of the bolts goes into the valve cover. So I had to take that bracket off. That is, you know, on the ground somewhere. Took the motor mount. I did not take the oil pan off. I expected to take the oil pan off, and I didn't. I actually just put a piece of wood on it and jacked it up. I figured, worst come to worst, I fuck up the oil pan, then I gotta replace the oil pan as well. Either way, I just said screw it, I'm going for it. I don't really care at this point. But here I am. It's the oil pan's holding it up. All I really have to do left is just take this cover off, and I should be able to get to all the timing. So, I see there's a couple screws that are going to be hard to get to, like that one's going to have to be done with a wrench. Other than that, it's pretty basic. But yeah, I did want to show you guys that that's bad. That's no bueno. I mean, look how much that's moving. Let me see if I can get the phone down there. Look at that. Holy crap. That's bad. So, yep, that was the hyperlapse. I got a couple more bolts to take off on the oil pan that are attached to the timing cover. I did not get to that yet. So I got to go take those bolts out. Then I got to unbolt everything on the timing cover, take the timing cover off, and hopefully I can get to doing the chain and the phasers today. All right. Alright guys, so over the hyperlapse, what I did was I took the timing cover off. So the whole timing cover's off. All it was 10 and 12 millimeter bolts. So what I had to do is I had to take off a pulley down here. This one right there. It's hard to see on the video. It's that glowing white piece. There was a pulley there. There was a pulley here that was just in my way. I just took this off. It was very easy to get to. Everything on there was 10 and 12 millimeter bolts. So I literally just took my impact and I have this 90-degree tool, Milwaukee tool. It just zipped them right off. So, yep, that's pretty much everything on this car was 10 millimeter bolts or 12 millimeter. So very simple, very easy to get to everything. It is tight in here. Getting that cover off was a nightmare. So, if you have any questions, please leave a comment if you're wondering where a bolt was or if there's something to do. I literally just took everything off to get it out of my way. I said, I don't care. Get it out of my way. I'll put it back on later. I kept all the bolts with everything. You can see these are the timing cover bolts. This is the pulley, one of them. You've got your motor mount. I've got my valve cover with all the bolts, intake system. I've got everything kind of spread out, but the bolts are with everything. So I just took everything apart. I needed it out of my way. I don't really know this car that well, so I'm learning as well. So it's apart. This is part one. Part 1 is the teardown. Part 2, I'm going to do just a video of just the timing components, where I put it on center, on top dead center, I replace the chain, you know, the camshaft phasers, I do all that stuff. Then part 3 is going to be me putting it back together. I just want to say thank you guys for watching and following. This took me about 8 hours to do so far, so hopefully the rest of it goes pretty quickly. I got it fresh in my mind, so I just want to get it done. So, thank you guys, and I think this is a wrap. See you in part 2.